I was talking to my buddy Paul Arnold this morning. I said, Paul, this is an uphill battle, you know. He says, I said, next time I want TT bread, all I'm going to do is call you on the phone, order the bread, and you send them over on a flight.
Leave that TT
coming
bread
to St.
alone.
Thomas, okay? You think it's a joke?
Leave the TT bread alone.
I'll never forget this experience. Here I am. Next month's going to be 1 year since I've been out of the Virgin Islands. Oh, God, this is unreal. Unreal for sure. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm taken care of, but don't worry about it. We're making good progress. Slowly, slower than I thought, but we're going to get there. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, God's willing, at 7 o'clock for another edition of the morning show right here on WSTA Radio. News is up next, and I think, who's next? Adler Foncita, the stock, comes up next here on WSTA Radio. So have a great morning and a great day. Bye-bye.
This is Adler Foncita, the stock, your host of a new program that is coming, Connecting the Dots, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. every Monday morning on WSTA, the station of choice, 1340 on the dial. Again, Adler Foncita, the stock, Connecting the Dots, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. every Monday morning on none other than WSTA, Lucky 13.
If you from the VI, will you there, put your hands up.
Please log in to your mobile phone, television, computer for live streaming or your nearest radio. It's now time to listen to Connecting the Dots.
People come, let we go. Turn up the radio. Turn it up. This is the people show. No matter where we go.
Connecting people, we all love you.
We are here for you.
We can hear you. Connecting
People. People come, let we go. Turn up the radio. Turn it up. This is the people show. No matter where we go.
Connect the dots, family. Connect the dots, unity. Connect the dots, reunion. Connect the dots.
Good morning. I say good morning to the people of the Virgin Islands. Good morning to every Virgin Islander, everywhere, regardless of where you are. I just wanted to wish each and every one of you a happy holiday. Happy holiday season, and of course, in preparation for a new year, we could anticipate a whole lot of stuff going into the new year. But I pray for your families, and we truly hope that we can get or navigate out of this pandemic. And you know, while we're talking about the pandemic, COVID-19, that has pretty much is described as the invisible enemy, that invisible enemy that continues to torment the entire world. And when I say torment the entire world, now we're discovering and hearing that there is a new strand or a new strain that they discovered in Europe. And it actually spreads 70% faster than the actual COVID-19 that we have been battling with all these months. Now, that sounds a little scary. And it becomes even more scary because if you think about it, a lot of flights are coming through New York. And when I say a lot of flights are going into New York from Europe, so I heard Mario Cuomo, the governor of New York, speak about actually stopping flights from coming in from Europe. And you know, that's a challenge when it comes to the economics of it all. And the airlines that have all these pre-bookings, and the list goes on and on and on, you know, and it's really concerning for a lot of people. And I can tell you that here in the Virgin Islands, we too have some grave concerns, and those concerns have to do with, you know, the number of cases that we have now in the Virgin Islands that have exceeded 170 active cases. I think it's up to somewhere in the vicinity of 190 cases in the United States. But that is something for us to be extremely concerned about because you never know if there is a great demand or a high influx of people going into the hospital looking for hospital care, and we don't have sufficient beds to accommodate all the folks that are coming at the same time. So that has to be of great concern to many of us. And, having a elderly parent in Josefina Donistor, who listens to my program religiously. I know she's there right on her bed, listening to her radio and listening to the program this morning. And, she's 94 years of age. And the last thing, anyone would need, and I'm talking about everyone in general, is that elderly parent who's supposed to be the most vulnerable among us is exposed to this invisible enemy. So I try to practice all the precaution. As you could see, I have my mask here with me, that it's like the commercial for American Express. Don't leave home without it. Never leave home without it. The American Express, it's never leave home without your mask, and practice all the precautionary measures that they insist that you practice. But the hope that we have in sight, or some form of relief, the United States Congress have been debating, and I think they have arrived a deal to pass a stimulus package to the tune of $900 billion. What does that represent for the U.S. Virgin Islands? Of course, that is something that we would have to explore to research, but I'm quite sure the good delegate to Congress already have a handle, and maybe, in fact, know exactly what is going to be earmarked for the U.S. Virgin Islands. But the only downside of it I see is one item where I believe they have reduced the amount of those checks, the relief checks, to residents who qualify. I think they reduced it to $600 a person as opposed to $1,200. I might be wrong, but I would wait to stand corrected. So moving along with this thing tomorrow, I wanted to share something with you folks this morning, because there was an illustrious doctor from St. Croix. I think her name is it Anne? I think it's and it's going to come to me shortly. I think it's Miss Anne Treasure. But what I did was I went in to try to see if I could find that recording of Anne Treasure, because you see, it's so important how we disseminate information into our respective communities, and how we choose to really enlighten people about what is going on and how to properly empower them or prepare them for this pandemic, and even with the case of the vaccine. And I wanted to commend, if anyone in St. Croix is listening, and they have a way to contact Dr. Treasure, I just want her to know that there are many of us that was paying attention to CNN, and she appeared on CNN and that national spotlight, and I was so inspired. I mean, I have nothing but praises for her in just the way she structured her questions and the information that she was able to extract from them. And it was not only myself was impressed. I think the moderators, the hosts of the program, Lennon, and the rest of them, because it was on CNN's Dan Lennon program, where Dr. Sanjay Gupta and the Surgeon General, Dr. Jerome Adams, and that popular doctor you hear about all the time, Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, that actually was entertaining this town hall meeting. And I was so impressed that I wanted to share with you guys the question that she asked and how those folks responded to her. Because they didn't say that her question was a good question. They said her questions was great questions. And I wanted to share that with you guys this morning, because I thought that it was quite impressive, and she represented the Virgin Islands.
Jen, we got another video question. Take a listen.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anne Treasure, and I'm an obstetrician in St. Croix in the United States Virgin Islands. Refrigeration is challenging for us here in the tropics. If someone first gets the Pfizer vaccine and then has access to Moderna, would that substitute and be considered full immunity? And my second question is, if someone discovers that they're pregnant after having had the first dose, should they wait for the second dose until they're after 3 months along, or should they not have the vaccine for the rest of the pregnancy?
It's a great questions,
So
Dr.
great
Adams.
questions, great questions. Let me go backwards. There were women in the trials that got pregnant during the trials. And so right now, we do recommend that people continue to get vaccinated, but always talk to your healthcare provider, to your obstetrician, if you have questions about what you should do, because you want to make a choice that you're comfortable with, that your obstetrician is comfortable with, that's right with you. As far as the doses, many people know the Pfizer vaccine has to be kept at -70. The Moderna vaccine can be kept at much more normal temperatures. And the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a one-dose vaccine that can be kept at normal temperatures also. So that is the reason Operation Warp Speed really has embraced all of these vaccines, because we know some of them will be better for some situations and some will be better for others. I was in Montana just last week, and they have some very rural communities, and these rural communities were waiting for the Moderna vaccine, and they're cheering right now with the EUA that was authorized by the FDA today, because it will be easier to get that vaccine out to those rural areas without the cold chain storage requirements. But you cannot stack one on top of another. If you get the Pfizer for the first dose, you need Pfizer for second. Moderna for first dose, then you need Moderna for the second. And we're going to make sure we're working with states and with different regions to get them the vaccine that is going to work best for their population and their ability to store it.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Now, it was important that I share that, because I wanted to commend Dr. Treasure and Treasurer from the island of St. Croix that appeared on that national stage on CNN, and I was actually impressed. But now navigating over to something that I believe would be of relationship is I went to pick up some medication for my mom at Walgreens some day ago, and also some medication for myself. And the electricity was off, and I posted on Facebook a comment about all the elderly people that was there for needed medication, of course, and was turned away because Walgreens did not have any electricity. Of course, the comments started to flow and navigate towards WAPA and not having, reliable energy in the Virgin Islands, and that's the crust of our problem. But I wanted to bring it back home because I know WAPA is going through a transition, and that transition is supposed to be on lower your rates over a period of time as they start to bury cables and do a lot of things. And we're hopeful, we're all hopeful, because it has had an adverse impact on the community, both businesses and different things. But talking about Walgreens, and it was no malice intended. What I was suggesting, and I wanted to suggest again, is that if some of these vaccines, God forbid, some of these vaccines came into Walgreens and they didn't have a generator to keep the refrigeration at a certain level that maybe some medication are required to have, what would then happen to that inventory or supply of vaccine that they would have received to disseminate eventually to the community? So I'm just saying that perhaps Walgreens need to do better. And they need to make sure, if they don't have a generator that is operating, make sure it's operating. Because the question that I asked, which I thought was an important question, for all those elderly people, because while I was there, was over 25 of them that was turned away. So I could only imagine the number of people that came and were turned away because Walgreens could not open. It was very concerning for me. And I think that for even the Walgreens representatives or administrators or managers, if any one of them is listening to this broadcast, that they just respect and understand that their patrons would expect something a lot better from them. Because God forbid that the power goes out, because as Dr. Ann Treasure indicated, that we have an issue with energy here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And the last thing we need is for institutions, organizations, or labs, or wherever is storing some of these vaccines that would require being, refrigeration, that the power goes out and the inventory is spoiled. We don't want that to happen. So I'm hopeful that all the agencies, the government departments that have to oversee a lot of this stuff start to request or ensure that the proper protocols are put in place to avoid anything tragic like that from happening. Because there is, the last thing we need is for it to be a situation where we have this vaccine in the Virgin Islands and it becomes spoiled and they can't do nothing with it. And I was listening to Addie's program this morning, and incidentally, if Addie's listening, Addie, I wore a sweater for you. I know you're in there in the United States, and it's snowing in your part of the world. And I just wanted to wear a sweater because it's here cold in the studio as well. But this is a representation of probably what you're experiencing. Though we here in the U.S. Virgin Islands have great weather. It's sun, sand, and sea. And the weather is looking good again today, as you saw in some of the footage that I shared with you in the opener. Moving over to something else, the pace of recovery in the Virgin Islands. The pace of recovery is something that continues to stick out like a sore thumb. And I have entertained calls from a lot of people that have been concerned, and I'm reflecting concern because I'm reflecting back on the Envision Tomorrow program and hopeful that as we drive around to the different neighborhoods that you can see some progress being made. But we're not seeing the progress. This is a time, or this is a program that can truly benefit the contractors that they select, because the contractors have to employ people. And there could be some economic, activity taking place that would include even persons that may come into the Virgin Islands or persons that are in communities that could use employment, that they're on some payroll and receiving money. Because come January, it's going to be a major, major challenge, because you're talking about folks who may be out of employment, and now that they have exhausted whatever savings that they had, the moratorium with the banks would in fact not be the same, or they may not lax it or extend it, because the banks could only extend the moratorium for a certain period of time. I think that started May 1st until October 1st or something like that. But what happens after with all these extensions? So I think that these, again, I'm going to repeat it again, it's so important that we get these federal projects off the ground and start expending that money into the community. Now, I'm hoping that in coming weeks that we're able to even entertain, switching over to another subject, WAPA, once again, because WAPA has always been the target of much criticism. And I think it's important for us to allow for updates to take place. And I'm inviting Mr. Kupfer once again to come on the program to provide my audience, you, the people that listen to this program religiously, and even for those who will soon start to listen, that they would have an opportunity to find out exactly what contributed to these power outages, what can we anticipate, what are the new projects on the drawing board, what about this strategic plan, what about, share with us the activity that WAPA has embarked on. Now, switching over to another subject, because WAPA is very much a part of what I'm about to share with you. I think last week, not that I think, I know, last week there was a publication that FEMA indicated that the government owed them over $134 million. And of that $134 million, I believe that 90 to 96 million was monies that was given for the utility. Now, I thought that it was, I got a little uncomfortable, because when you have administrative and folks starting to point finger, and I heard the governor, former Governor Kenneth Mapp, and they're trying to cast blame on former Governor Kenneth Mapp. You see, I don't believe in looking back and, pointing finger for the purpose of deflection or for the purpose. Kenneth Mapp left in 2018, 2019, the advent of 2019, the beginning of 2019, January 2019. That's gone. I think now is the time for us to step up and start to build on what may have been left behind, just like the waterfront. Not cast blame, not point finger, but to come up with a plan to really address the myriad of problems that we have. The last thing we need is for FEMA or the federal government to be freezing funds for the Virgin Islands or destined for the Virgin Islands, because that would be another damaging blow delivered to the Virgin Islands. And, as we speak and navigate to different topics here on the radio, I also wanted to broach the subject. And that subject is about what I read in the paper, I believe it was on Saturday, where they said that the administration was borrowing up to $60 million in tax anticipation notes. Now, borrowing again, borrowing for a lot of people in the Virgin Islands is a curse word, but we understand the crisis. But some of the questions and the compelling questions that I wanted to ask is that as I read that the interest rate associated to that borrowing is up at 5.5% per year. And then we go to, and we speak about the 2020 a tax revenue anticipation loan. And them speaking of the September 30th, 2021. Is that a deadline? Is that the beginning of the loan when you plan to get that bridge loan? Now, that tax revenue anticipation loan, we're talking about anticipated tax revenues. We're not sure how those revenues are going to be affected. So I understand the flexibility of up to $60 million, and it's going to be based. Anticipation is pretty much a projection. That the projection or the anticipation of those tax levels or the taxes that we expect, let's hope that something different transpires in January, February, that we can see some serious daylight and can truly make projections that are accurate, that are realistic. Because sometimes forecasting, if you incorporate elements or incorporate variables that are not realistic, and you do not plug in realistic numbers, actual numbers for the purpose of realizing or concluding with a forecast, you can in fact run into a lot of problems, and all you have to do is reflect on the experiences of Puerto Rico and what Puerto Rico went through before they got to the brink of insolvency or bankruptcy, if I may use that word, that term, bankruptcy. And I think that we have to carefully look at other people's experiences and try to learn from those experiences, because the last thing we need to do is to find the Virgin Islands on the verge of bankruptcy or in any form of bankruptcy, because we don't know what would come with that, and we don't know how long it would take for us to fight with the United States Congress for a special appropriation to at least assist the Virgin Islands. Because remember, everything is connected. You got the GRS system as well that we have debated on, and you'll hear it resurrecting and coming up over and over. And when we talk about the GRS system, I want to remind folks that not too long ago, the Senate deliberated and they passed the medicinal marijuana legislation that would eventually be amended to impose recreational. And that in itself could be a revenue producing program, but I still can't understand why rules and regulations have not been concluded, approved, adopted at this juncture, because it's almost like we're crawling and we need to pick up the pace, because we're not guaranteed any additional stimulus money, although we have, I believe, 12 years, according to Mr. Griffith over there at the Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority, that indicated they have 12 years to spend the total amount of money that is available to them in tranches. Do not let the time encourage you to be complacent now. And this is why we have to get a lot of these programs off of the ground. Now, there's some pertinent questions that I would ask relative to even the borrowing. You know, what does this mean for the government? After you have exhausted that loan, then what? And I think those questions are pertinent questions and a question that many Virgin Islanders would ask. After that loan is exhausted, then what? After these funds are exhausted, I mean, do we have any revenue producing program that will in fact kick in that we can say will aid the Virgin Islands along the way and help us to battle a lot or overcome a lot of the financial obligations that we have here in the Virgin Islands? We have a lot of unions that are going to, you know, workers that desire to be on step, and that infamous 8% still have not been addressed. And I said it from the very beginning that 8% that no one wants to talk about. There was a court proceeding, the court ruled, and the court ruled exactly what I had said, that it was going to be unconstitutional, and if it's tested in the court system, that you're going to see that it was unconstitutional. So we're here and I see a lot of people using a term that I have used repeatedly in the past, which is crossroads. And we at crossroads. And I don't think government workers are seeing any daylight. Those who, and it's a majority, that had to endure that 8%. While others, administrators and leadership, was able to walk away with lump sum amounts of money and able to carry on with their lives and not be negatively impact the way that a lot of government workers were impacted. So, you know, those are things that are going to come up in discussions in the coming weeks. Why? Because people are still questioning what happened to that judgment of the court. Now, we talking, going back to the borrowing, is the public receiving a realistic forecast, as I mentioned to you just a few minutes ago? And it's we're not sure. That's why I have in the past on numerous occasions insisted that the legislature have access to the FMS system, which of course the administration at that time, and I believe the administration today, do not want to give the legislature full access. If you're asking senators to be responsible, to be prudent, to be effective with legislation, I say responsible with offering legislation as they present their creative ideas, then I think it's important that you share with them real life figures that when they decide to appropriate money for different causes, for different programs, for different organizations, that they're able to present or provide numbers that are, real and active numbers. What we're seeing today is a lot of criticism being exchanged, and the people of the Virgin Islands are not truly understanding why things are the way they are, and sometimes why things evolve the way that they evolve. So, I just wanted to recap on a few things, and then let me step back to our revenue. What is going on here? Let me step back to a revenue producing program that was supposed to be on the drawing board. We have in the newspaper this morning, that the organization or the company, VIGL, withdraws from horse racing agreement, raising concerns about sports future in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Yeah, we're in COVID-19, but you have a lot of folks that are asking about the Virgin Islands Carnival. And in asking about the Virgin Islands Carnival, there could be no discussion without talking about carnival races during carnival, because that's basically one of the highlights of our tradition and culture here in the Virgin Islands when we speak about horse racing in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And what we have at hand right now, if VIGL is pulling out, which could have been a revenue producing program for the government of the Virgin Islands, another shot in the arm, that now we have no VIGL, we will have no development of the horse racing facilities. And that, I know, it's sad news for not only the horse enthusiasts, but horse owners and those people who have a vested interest in horse racing. And I was hopeful that this was a situation that the government could correct, because we're talking about the Randall Doc James racetrack on the island of St. Croix, that a lot of people was hopeful would be back online, and it's not going to be online, unfortunately, because they couldn't come to terms. Now, this is all attributed to a claim by Southland Gaming. And Southland Gaming is claiming that the agreement that they passed was unconstitutional, and it perhaps infringes on an exclusive agreement that Southland Gaming has or have with the government. Now, the question I would have to ask, and we have to reverse this a little bit and go back a little bit, was in fact an exclusive agreement for Southland Gaming to have VLTs and control and operate VLTs in the Virgin Islands, and only stationed in one district as opposed to the territory? Wasn't that unconstitutional and may have infringed on federal laws as to whether or not they can have exclusivity in a district? So that question, of course, was posed by a legal mind, because I asked the question as to whether or not that agreement in itself was a solid agreement, and it was in fact truly tested for legal sufficiency, constitutional tests, and that's another subject to be discussed. But I'm truly disappointed that we're not going to have horse racing probably in the next year or 2 years, although there were some promises made to horse owners, to spectators, to just enthusiasts, to folks, because there was a lot of folks during these carnival races that would actually come out to the carnival races here in St. Thomas and in St. Croix for even their horse racing. Thousands of spectators, and if you recall the Bush races, they were recently disenfranchised and really have no place to raise their horses. And I think that there was hope, because remember now that on the main track, they had the domestic horses, which is some of the same horses that participated in the Bush races, that would be able to participate in races on the official racetrack. So I'm not understanding the decision-making process here. And we can only hope, and I would beg and encourage the administration to truly revisit this issue with the horse racing, and let's try to see if we could get something to work. Because at the end of the day, the entity continues to make their money on one end, while the spectators and the horse owners continue to perish. And while on the other end, the investor has been totally disenfranchised, because I was told that the investor had already invested in demolition, mobilization, salaries, and the list goes on, close to $14 million, to then be placed in a predicament where there's going to be no return on investment. But you know, in January, I'm going to invite the owner of VIGL, or one of the administrators, whether it's the COO, CEO, or whoever it is, because we need to connect the dots here. We need to understand truly what caused them to just abruptly depart. Because we were talking about a $25 million investment, in excess of that. Because if they already spent $14 million, that does not look good when it comes to us being business friendly. I don't think that was being business friendly. And that should be alarming for a lot of people because, again, that could have potentially been another revenue producing entity. Horse owners have to buy feed. They maintain these. I feel bad for them because they have to maintain horses. And I'm telling you, it's an average of $2,500 a month. Some of them pay a lot more. I'm saying average of $2,500 a month to maintain a race horse. Come on. We need to get some resolution in the best interest of Virgin Islanders because it really doesn't look right. And I think that as we proceed into a new year, I think folks are hopeful. They're hopeful that we can get a lot of things off of the ground. And I'm just one of you folks. I really want to see that we're able to put things in perspective. We're able to put things on the drawing board and start to provide hope for Virgin Islanders. And hope will only come about if there is progress. So if we don't see progress with a lot of these capital projects, if we don't see development, if we don't hear folks talking about their homes, about the repairs of rental units, to homes being rehabilitated, to contractors being employed, to income tax refunds being paid out timely, and the list goes on and on. Trust me when I tell you, people are going to start really losing hope. And you know what they say about any economy that turns out to be going through or being strained? That's not promising at all. And I can only regurgitate and continue to tell you that, of course, we want to give the administration, we want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But there comes a time, we're now 2 years into a term. And in that 2 years, we have not really seen anything outside of the pier that was built on St. Thomas. That every one of you drive that pier and it's looking nice. You know, we commend and applaud. I have to applaud the MAP administration as well. And I'm hoping, I know that they had already had a dedication or a groundbreaking. And I was told, and I want to be corrected, I was told that the former Governor MAP was not even invited. Come on, folks, we have to do better than that. You see, we got to put the petty politics aside and start to look at things in a different vein and light. And understand that there should be a common purpose and eventually serving a common good. And if we continue to allow for the petty politics to dictate things that would truly, you know, the outcome of things that would truly benefit Virgin Islanders, then we're running into a problem and we're tethering with the wrong things. And that there could only be but negative returns. So I'm hopeful that moving in to that new year, that we start to rethink the way we approach things, that we can see some daylight, Virgin Islanders, because while I'm not part of that decision-making process, when I was part of the decision-making process, I operated as though when I come back into society again as just a normal citizen, I want to make sure that while I was a part of that decision-making process, I championed causes that would be of significant benefit to Virgin Islanders. And I don't need to reflect on my history going far back to Innovative and their rates, coming forward to the income tax refunds, taking the matter to court, championing a cause to make sure that Virgin Islanders get what is due, owing, but what is a fundamental right for each and every one of them. So at this time, the number to call here at WSTA, I'm going to open up the line for folks to have an opportunity to call in and broach whatever subject you want to broach here on the air this morning, because after all, this is really not my program, although I host it. I continue to say this is the people's program. So feel free, and I truly mean that, because I don't expect that every caller is going to be positive. I don't expect every caller is going to advocate what I say. I believe in free speech. I believe in folks having the opportunity to share with you their perspective of about a myriad of issues that exist here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I know that many of you like to hear the different perspectives because, after all, we live in a democracy. And in that democracy, we want to believe that everyone has the right to express themselves and say what they want to say. So the number to call here at WST is 340-774-1340. Lucky 13. You're here, you're listening to Adler Fonsi Donnerstog here at WSTA. Lucky 13. Connect the dots. And it's every Monday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. A slow morning, but let me, while we wait to see if anyone calling this morning, because I know people are out shopping. People are out trying to do all the chores and get certain things in place to truly enjoy Christmas, because it's the holiday season. It's the season of giving. And we always want to be a recipient. But please don't just focus on being a recipient of gifts, but be a giver, because it's so important. You know, there's so many displaced families out there. And let's not forget even the homeless that is out there. I mean, if your humanitarian side kicks in, if you're driving on that highway, you're going down the waterfront, and you know that there's 2 homeless people that actually stays or frequents a particular area, maybe you could go into Ashford, buy them a shirt, buy them a pants, and that's a special gift. That's a good humanitarian act, you know, to exercise and display. But I think it would make you feel so good to know that you were able to help someone, that you were able to make someone Christmas a lot better, because the homelessness in the Virgin Islands has actually increased. And it seemed to be a dead spot as well for Virgin Islanders. And as you will note, I'm incorporating all types of things in discussion this morning, because I'm sure that each one of those topics touches a Virgin Islander somewhere out there. And we want these happy holidays to just be special, not be special for the fortunate, but special for a lot of people who it's been unfortunate in their daily pursuits, their daily lives. That has been so many challenges, because all of us, every one of us, have a challenge. Whether it's family issues, whether it's legal issues, whether it's financial issues, and the list go on and on and on. You know, every one of us have challenges. It's your ability to overcome those challenges. It's your ability to manage the way that you overcome those challenges. Everything doesn't always be in order, but you are the boss of your own universe to a certain extent. And destiny is what it is. Destiny is destiny in its past tense or present past tense. Destiny can be the pursuit of a goal. You haven't reached the destiny, or you leave your house and you're going to a certain destination. Destiny. But I'm talking about destiny in a spiritual way. And I bring that up because I know that there are folks out there that don't feel that the proper outcome has landed on their doorsteps. But you always have to have hope, because God says that He never will give you more than you can handle. And I believe that to be true, because I'm a living testament of being confronted with many challenges. And I know that there's a lot of you folks out there are challenged. You know, I had the opportunity to interact again with another person in the roofing program that is living under a tarp, that decided not to buy a Christmas tree because the house leaks, and is waiting more than a year and a half for this Envision program to conclude or to approve the reconstruction or to provide assistance to that homeowner. That is stressful, because that homeowner is sitting there and the homeowner don't even know if to start to do some construction of their own because they really can't insure the house until it's completely finished, of course. But if they're expending their own money and could be confronted with a situation where going into a hurricane season coming 2021, June, start of the hurricane season, that's not a good feeling. And bear in mind that this is the second hurricane season that a lot of these Virgin Islanders are going into, that is going to be confronted with. They cannot possibly feel comfortable. So for the decision makers and those folks who are out there truly listening, please, please sit down and really let your conscience be your guide. Start to fast track these things because hope, Virgin Islanders are starting to lose hope. We need to see significant activity taking place. Because if we're not seeing the significant activity taking place again, and I can't repeat myself enough, I'm going to continue to regurgitate these things until the appropriate persons get it. Because I don't think they're getting it. I get the calls and I feel the calls every day. But I don't know what else to say. Because I'm telling you, you have a lot of Virgin Islanders whose lives are going deeper and deeper into peril. So let me go to the telephone lines and allow the callers to start calling. Good morning, you're on the air. Connect the dots.
A pleasant good morning, Connect the dots. I have to wonder if they forget us from the house. Because even up to this morning, I had to spread a blanket in the walkway from the water coming on the roof. The only thing I have on the roof now is the pieces of board that they take and put on the blue. And even sometimes, even in the water in the tank, you came to the pipe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but let me ask you a question. Have you received communication from any other entities?
I did get a letter from them, and I went to them, and the lady called me and told me they will get back to me, and up to now, I'm still here.
And how long of a period was that?
Maybe sometime last month or so.
Last month. And when did you apply?
I applied since the hurricane here, my dear. And they came and put on the blue roof.
Yeah.
And they didn't came back. And after I started, I get back again. I get a letter from them a couple weeks ago, and I went to them concerning it, and the lady said she will call and get back to me. One of them told me it's going to be a long process.
And when did you initially? I don't know if I missed it.
Something?
Go ahead.
Something? One time they bring material here, and they came back and take it up, say something about the house. And when I called the gentleman said they wasn't supposed to take up my material, and they never came back. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
House roof, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am, and I'm hoping that they're listening, because sometimes when us as radio hosts say something and we're speaking for a certain demographic or a majority of people who are out there, it's easy for the administration to try to dismiss it. So it only but solidifies exactly what we say as radio hosts when a person who is living the experience actually call in and share their story with the listening audience.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for calling in, and hopefully that the appropriate parties are listening and they start to really get on the ball, fast track these things and be vigilant in reaching out to the community. And at the same time, when there's going to be employment opportunities, that even if they want to take my idea, put on a bus job opportunities and drive them out and run into the different communities in telling them that there will be opportunities for employment as well.
Yeah.
And ultimately, who's going to benefit? You, the homeowners that truly need the help. So I thank you for calling in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. You have a wonderful day and happy holidays. See, that's just but one person that called in. And, I have an unusual hour here on the radio, which is 10 to 11 a.m. every Monday morning when people are going in to work. have to work and don't have the luxury of maybe, let's say, the luxury of a radio, or even have the radio or the office playing a radio for everyone in the office to listen, because I'm quite sure they would have their selective or favorite radio programs that they want to tune into. And that's not a problem, but I just think it's important for people every step of the way to hear news, to hear information that could be of value to them, disseminated out into the community by way of these outlets, this medium, the radio. So again, we're here at WSTA. This is Connect the Dots with Adela Fonsi Donnerstog, live here on WSTA Lucky 13. The number to call here is 340-774-1340, 1340, here at WSTA. Now, as we speak about a lot of these issues that affect the community, there's even other issues that I have not been able to effectively cover. And that's why I ask the public, I ask people, even if they want to call me discreetly off the air, to share certain things with me. Once it is accurate, I can confirm, I have no problems with echoing your sentiments. Good morning, you're on the air, Connect the Dots.
Good morning. I'm just calling in to let you know that I appreciate your registration.
Oh, thank you.
And I appreciate your concern from a distance.
Thank you. Thank you.
We need more people like you who care on the island about the criminal activities that continue to go on from top to bottom.
Well, you know, I am quick. I'm going to say from top to bottom, I can only interpret what you're saying as white collar crime. That it has to be inclusive of white collar crime, and not just the young men and young women on the street who they pursue when they commit a crime or they break the law in any way. And it's always a condemnation of those young people. And people want to see that these crimes are addressed holistically, and even to hold elected officials accountable. And that white collar crime that exists, they too are not, exempt. They are not exempt from feeling the wrath of the law. So I just continue to speak on the issues as I see fit, and allow for the public to render their opinion, incorporate their opinion, or intertwine their opinion in any line of discussion that we have here on the radio. So I could only thank persons like you, and I thank you, for taking the time out to even call in, and thank me for, extending or reflecting your views on a myriad of issues that exist in this community.
Okay, thank you for hearing
Okay,
my concern.
thank you. Yes, the number to call here at WSTA is 340-774-1340. As we move along, you're hearing from Virgin Islanders, and that's what we want to hear from. I know that there's a lot of Virgin Islanders that even look at this program on Facebook, because I stream live on Facebook as well, to allow or to try to encourage Virgin Islanders to stay abreast of the issues that are affecting Virgin Islanders, because they too have a vested interest. They have families that live in the Virgin Islands still. Good morning, you're on the air, Connect the Dots.
Good morning, Mr. Donnerstog.
Morning.
I normally don't call in on the radio shows, but you really touched something that had really, really hurt my heart, which was the racetrack issue.
Yeah.
And I really hope that you would be able to convince the company to come back here, because when I heard about it, I'm not a horse track fan, but I had liked the development that they were planning to do, which was to, from my understanding, build a resort, build a marina, totally redevelop the track to make it attractive racetrack, And then to hear that they pulled out because some of the greedy people on this island who is not putting money into it but want more of the profit than this company, it had really hurt my heart.
Yeah.
So I hope that you can convince them to come back, because I'm more looking at the amount of jobs that these people would be bringing just to build a resort. And after the resort is built, the employees that is going to be employed there, along with the workers that would be dealing with the horses, that's employment for people down here. Plus people working on the marina, that's employment. But to see how greedy some of these people are on this island, not thinking about the island, just thinking about their pocket, and especially they're not putting any money into it, to have these people to just pull out and leave. I really hope.
It's definitely a blow. It's a blow to, like I said, those horse owners and the enthusiasts who had great anticipation, as I would say. And it's rather unfortunate. Whether I can encourage them to come back, I think the one that needs to encourage them to come back and make it inviting or appealing for them to come back at this time would be the administration, the governor, that he is able to fulfill his promise that there will be horse racing. Because if you look at what transpired, even on St. Croix with the bush races and them not having anywhere to race horses, to leading up to the point that we will have no horse races at all, is really discouraging. It's disheartening. And I promise you this, I'm going to invite one of the members of that company, because I think we need to connect the dots here. We need to understand, why did they really pull out? Because it may not very well be what we think. So I'm not qualified, or I'm not in the position to say exactly why they pulled out. But I would like to hear
your private number?
My number, I can't say it on the air, but if you call the station now, they will give it to you. Okay?
Okay, I'm going to do that. And I will call you sidebar.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, you have a wonderful day. Good morning, you on the air, connect the dots. Good morning, you on the air, connect the dots.
Oh.
Good morning, you on the air, connect the dots.
Hello, I think it's a good thing that that racetrack company pulled out, because the criminal activities have declined. The killing has ceased. Every other Sunday, somebody was dying.
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, though. You're saying that the racetrack contributed to people dying?
The racetrack, as it is when it was there, had a lot of criminal activities going on. By it not even being there, has reduced the number of killings every weekend. Has anybody noticed that?
Well, I go based on statistics and data. Do you have data available to you that shows you that could in fact establish some consistency and trend that we could provide a relationship?
The police department would have that data.
Well, maybe it's something to look into, but I figured that you were sharing this with us because it was something that you already verified. But I mean, I would ask the question.
This is something that's been going on for the past 10 years, even when that racetrack was not in activity.
But
only during carnival time. So much killing.
But ma'am, you just provided. Well, I'll leave it as that, because that was just clearly a contradiction. But it's okay. I understand what you're saying, but in terms of attaching crime to horse racing and that kind of stuff, I'm not seeing it. But if you live in a respective area, where are you referring to? St. Thomas? St. Croix? What? Where?
St. Thomas.
Okay. Well, I have another caller calling in, so it's probably somebody calling in with another perspective.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Okay, I lost the call. Whoever was calling, if you could call again. The number to call here is 340-774-1340, 1340. You know, that caller provided a perspective, and Good morning, you're on the air. Connect the dots.
Hey, good morning, Fonzie.
Morning.
How you doing?
I'm great. Bless.
Yeah, this is Edwards.
Hey, Edwards, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm calling in reference to the discussion, and I live in the Virgin Islands 20-something years, and then the problems in the Virgin Islands they just didn't happen overnight. I've been a taxi driver dealing with tourism down there for a while, and as I look back, where tourism was the main industry in the Virgin Islands. Now the problem just didn't stem from, and I remember going to the Fiji conference, and then seeing all the other islands. When St. Thomas used to have 10 cruise ships a day,
Yeah.
The other islands.
But Edward, look at. I apologize for interrupting you, but the DJ or the engineer, I call him, just cautioned me about the time constraint. It's 11 o'clock a.m. My program is from 10 to 11 a.m. If it's possible for you to call and share your perspective next Monday, it would really be appreciated because I normally do not interrupt anyone.
Okay.
But I appreciate and I know.
I'll try to call next week. Because there's a lot I want to talk about.
Okay. Thank you. You have a blessed and happy holidays to you. Okay.
You too.
And to all Virgin Islanders out there who's listening to the program and often tune into the program, thank you for listening to the program this morning. I'm wishing you happy holidays and hope that each and every one of you have a safe holiday, COVID-19 free completely. But folks, please do not forget to practice those precautionary measures that can only but protect persons that you're around and protect yourself. Wear the mask. 6 feet, I know it's hard to 6 feet distance, especially within a family household. But try your best as you come out into general population to practice all those things, washing the hands, and you go on and on. And this, before I close off, I just wanted to thank the sponsors in First Stop Gas Station, which I'm hoping to break out their commercial next Monday. But thank them, for what they do for the community in terms of providing service, first-class service, there across from Vaitraco Mall. And also, my favorite place to eat my lobster, fresh conch, fresh Wilkes, fresh food, period. It's surf and turf. I mean, for those that eat meat, I don't eat meat often, but for those that eat meat, that ribeye steak, the surf and turf down there at Catch of the Day. So I wanted to basically close off this program this morning with the commercial from Catch of the Day. Folks, have a blessed week. Have a beautiful Christmas Day. Happy holidays. Be safe. And I wish nothing but the best for each and every one of you. It's Catch of the Day. From the water to the pot to your mouth, everything is fresh at Catch of the Day, located on Cookie Point Beach. Enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes. Fresh catch, lobster, conch, and whelks when in season, as well as surf and turf. They cater to your wishes. While you sit and wait for your food, enjoy the friendly bar and bask in the ambience that is second to none. Enjoy the white sand, sun, and crystal blue water. We are sure the experience will be unique. Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come and enjoy Catch of the Day on Cookie Point Beach.